this straight up. If you don't respect yourself, she never will. A lot of women can sense it. They know when a man is desperate for validation, when he'll twist himself like a pretzel just to keep her happy. And that's one of the quickest ways to lose her respect. Respecting yourself means living by your own code. You've got rules you don't break, not for her, not for anyone. Maybe it's hitting the gym 4 days a week. Maybe it's never letting work calls slide. Maybe it's refusing to tolerate disrespect, even from someone you care about. Think about it. How can a woman admire a man who cancels everything in his life just to be available for her? If you skip your workout just because she suddenly wants ice cream, well, you're not showing love. You're showing weakness, unfortunately. You're silently saying, my priorities don't matter as much as yours. And trust me, women notice. Now, imagine she asks to hang out and you tell her, well, I've got training right now, so let me see you afterwards. You just showed her that you respect your time. And weirdly enough, that makes her respect you even more. Why? Because when you respect yourself first, you don't need her constant reassurance.
What most men don't realize is that the more they try to prove themselves to a woman, the less seriously they're taken. Today, we're talking about something many men overlook completely: the silent power women respect. Not loud confidence, not constant talking, not trying to impress, but the kind of presence that speaks without needing validation. Welcome to the channel. If you're here, it means you want to understand women on a deeper level, not just chase attention, but actually command respect without forcing it. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. I've seen this play out over and over again. The men who talk the most, explain the most, and try the hardest usually lose the most ground. Meanwhile, the man who knows when to step back, observe, and hold his composure naturally stands out. There's a quiet authority in that, and women notice it instantly, even if they don't always say it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a few clips and break them down for you, so you can clearly see what this silent power looks like in real situations. And more importantly, how to use it without overthinking or forcing it. 1. When he stops over-explaining himself.
Tip of the day for you men. Never over-explain why you make certain decisions in your life as a man. And here's the reason why. Oftentimes, those are just people trying to test you. They're trying to test to see if you're seeking their validation and approval for them, because a lot of people feel like they have power and authority over you.
A lot of men don't even realize how quickly they lose their edge the moment they start explaining too much. You think you're being clear, you think you're helping her understand you better, but what she actually feels is your need for approval. And that changes everything. There's a big difference between expressing yourself and over-justifying yourself. The moment you start adding extra details no one asked for, repeating your point, or trying to make sure she gets it, you've already shifted the dynamic. You're no longer grounded, you're seeking validation. From a woman's perspective, this doesn't come across as confidence. It feels uncertain. It feels like you're trying to convince, instead of simply stating and standing by what you said. And women respect men who are rooted in what they say, not men who feel the need to defend every little thing. The silent power here is in saying what you mean once, clearly, and letting it sit. No chasing, no correcting, no trying to control how it lands. That calm restraint communicates something much stronger than words ever could. It shows you trust yourself. I've seen men completely change how they're perceived just by removing this one habit. The moment you stop over-explaining, your words carry more weight. There's a sense of finality, of certainty, and that naturally draws attention without you forcing it. And here's the interesting part. When you don't rush to explain yourself, she leans in more. She starts trying to understand you on her own. That curiosity builds attraction in a way talking never can. Sometimes, saying less isn't about holding back. It's about knowing you don't need to prove anything in the first place. 2. When he's comfortable with silence.
A man who can sit comfortably in silence is a very powerful man, because he shows that he's confident and he doesn't need constant conversation to feel comfortable. Insecurities are loud. People who are overly loud and attention seek are typically insecure about something, and they're trying to overcompensate for it to hide that insecurity. They need external validation to feel good about themselves. Silence makes most people feel uncomfortable, so they feel the need to fill it with talking.
Most men are uncomfortable with silence, and it shows immediately. The moment a conversation slows down, They rush to fill the gap. More jokes, more questions, more talking. Anything to avoid that quiet space. But what they don't realize is that silence is where real presence is tested. When a man can sit in silence without getting restless, without trying to perform, it communicates something powerful. It shows he's not depending on constant interaction to feel secure. He's not trying to impress. He's simply there, grounded in himself. From a woman's perspective, this is rare. Silence becomes uncomfortable only when there's tension or uncertainty. But when a man is calm in that moment, it actually removes pressure. It allows her to relax, to observe, and to feel the interaction rather than just hear it. A man who talks too much often reveals more than he intends. He tries to control the moment. But a man who understands silence knows that not every second needs to be filled. He lets moments breathe. And in those moments, his presence becomes louder than words. This doesn't mean you go quiet in a strange or distant way. It means you're not afraid of pauses. You don't rush to fix them. You allow space for natural flow. That level of control shows emotional discipline. And that's something women instinctively respect. What's interesting is that when you become comfortable with silence, the dynamic shifts. She starts to speak more. She starts to invest more into the interaction, not because you're doing more, but because you're not overdoing it. Silence, when used right, isn't empty. It's controlled. And that control says everything without you needing to say anything at all. 3. When he doesn't react emotionally too fast.
When a female gives you attitude, you never get overly emotional. When she misbehaves, you correct her without getting in your feelings. You see, when a man starts yelling, when he starts crying, when he starts getting angry, agitated by the girl, and he shows it, that lets the girl know that he is not of value. He is not a man who can hold himself in restraint in times of adversity and turmoil. Thus the girl moving on, because he is not being stoic. He is not having that masculine frame intact. He's letting himself be in the emotional mess. This in turn turns the woman off, right?
One of the fastest ways a man gives away his power is through quick emotional reactions. Something small happens. Maybe she takes longer to reply, says something slightly off, or tests your patience. And suddenly, you're responding instantly, trying to correct it, question it, or fix how you feel in that moment. That urgency, it speaks louder than anything you say. Here's what most men miss. It's not the situation that matters, it's how you respond to it. When you react too fast, it shows you're being pulled by the moment instead of controlling it. And from a woman's perspective, that feels unstable. Not because emotions are bad, but because there's no filter, no pause, no control. The silent power shows up in the gap between what happens and how you respond. That pause, where you choose not to react immediately, is where your strength is. It shows you're thinking, not just feeling. It shows you're not easily shaken. I've seen situations where a man says nothing in the moment, and that alone shifts everything. Instead of escalating, instead of feeding into tension, he stays composed. That composure forces her to recalibrate. She starts paying attention differently because she can't predict you through emotional reactions. This doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It means you don't let every feeling control your behavior. You respond with intention, not impulse. And here's the part that really changes the dynamic. When you stop reacting quickly, she becomes more aware of her own behavior. She starts to think before she acts, because she's no longer getting instant feedback from you. Control over your reactions is quiet, but it's powerful. It tells her you're not easily moved, and that's where real respect begins. 4. When he walks away without drama, most men think power is in staying, arguing, proving a point, or getting the last word. They believe if they leave, they've lost. But what actually weakens a man is staying in a situation that's already lost its respect, just to feel like he's still in control. Walking away without drama is one of the clearest signs of silent power. No raised voice, no long explanations, no emotional speeches. Just a decision and movement. That kind of exit says more than any argument ever could. From a woman's perspective, this is where things shift. Because most men don't do this. They stay, they negotiate, they try to fix what's already broken in that moment. But when you calmly remove yourself, It shows you're not dependent on the outcome. You're not trying to force anything. And that creates a different level of respect. What makes this intriguing is that it's not about punishment or playing games. It's about standards. You're not leaving to make a point. You're leaving because something no longer aligns with you. That clarity is what makes the action powerful. I've seen men completely change how they're treated just by mastering this. The moment you stop tolerating things that drain you without making noise about it, people start to take you more seriously. And here's what most don't expect. When you walk away the right way, without chaos, it lingers. She thinks about it, not because you said more, but because you didn't. Sometimes the strongest move isn't staying to be understood, it's leaving in a way that doesn't need explanation. 5. When his actions speak louder than his words.
Because men show you how they feel long before they ever say it. Women want men to spell it out. Do you love me? Do you care? But a man's language isn't words, it's behavior. If he loves you, you'll see it in how he provides, protects, prioritizes you, how he greets you, how he holds you. And if he doesn't, he won't respect you. He won't listen. He won't show up. He'll check out, pull back, or disappear. That silence is your answer. So ladies, stop waiting for him to say it. Open your eyes and close your ear.
There's a pattern you'll notice in a lot of relationships, especially ones where the man feels like he's losing control. He talks a lot. He promises change, explains his intentions, reassures constantly. But nothing really shifts. And over time, the woman stops listening. Not because she doesn't care, but because his words have no weight behind them anymore. Now compare that to a man in a relationship who moves differently. He doesn't argue endlessly about respect. He shows it through how he carries himself. He doesn't keep saying what he's going to do. He just does it. If something bothers him, he adjusts his behavior or his boundaries without turning it into a long conversation every single time. I've worked with men who were in long-term relationships where they felt ignored or taken for granted. And almost every time, the issue wasn't that they lacked effort. It was that their effort lived in words, not actions. The moment they shifted that, everything around them started to change. When a man becomes consistent in what he does, not just what he says, the dynamic stabilizes. The woman begins to trust the pattern, not the promises. And that's where respect grows. Quietly, steadily. What's interesting is that this doesn't require you to say less just for the sake of it. It requires alignment. If you say something, it matches what you do. If you don't agree with something, your behavior reflects that without needing constant reminders. In a relationship, words can create temporary comfort. But actions create long-term respect. And when a man understands that, he stops trying to convince and starts showing. At the end of the day, the men women respect the most are not the loudest, the most expressive, or the ones constantly trying to prove something. It's the ones who are grounded, controlled, and intentional in how they move. Silent power isn't about withdrawing or being distant. It's about knowing when to speak, when to act, and when to simply hold your position without pressure. When you master that balance, everything shifts. You stop chasing reactions, and instead, you create presence. And once a woman feels that presence, respect follows naturally, without you ever needing to ask for it.